Hi, this is Barb from Recur360. Today I'd like to show you how Recur360 uses Avalara's Avatax integration to communicate with QuickBooks Desktop. When you log into your Recur360 account, you're going to go to our settings menu and choose integrations. There you'll see the two integrations we have, one with Smarty Streets and one with Avalara. So when I choose Avalara, this is where I will begin to set up the integration. The first thing will be to connect it to your Avalara Avatax account using the email address and password that you log into Avatax with. I've already connected mine here, and they must match exactly. The next step will be to create two items in your QuickBooks Desktop file, one a tax code called Recur360 Avatax, and the second a service item called Recur360 Avatax Sales Tax. This item has to be a service, and it is the item that will be added to all of your invoices in Recur360 to charge the sales tax from Avatax. I can see now that I've connected my Avatax account. Under my links, I have a green message here that lets me know I have set up both of those items correctly. I can also see under the settings menu that I'm connected to my Recur360 Technologies account inside of Avatax. The other options that are in our integration settings are the ability for you to limit the API calls that Recur360 makes to Avalara. Since you have a limited number of API calls per month that you can make to Avatax, according to whatever plan you are signed up for, we have the ability to limit those and only make a call when an invoice is saved. If this item is unchecked, as mine is right now, then as you add line items in Recur360, it will real-time calculate the sales tax amount by making a call to Avatax and showing you what that tax amount is after that line item has been added. The next option is if you would like to not store any of the information calculated from Recur360 into your Avatax sales transactions. By default, we also produce that transaction inside of Avalara and show it to you there on the reports. Then you can disable portions of the API that we have with Avatax. We do both the tax calculation, which can be turned off, and the address validation options. So either of those can be enabled or disabled. They are enabled by default. Once I've connected this and I've pressed save, our next step is to verify that we've created both of those items inside of QuickBooks. And let's look at how they're set up in my QuickBooks Desktop. So if I go to my QuickBooks Desktop account here and I go to my items list, I'm going to be able to find those two Recur360 items down here in my list. So my first Recur360 Avatax item, if I look at the detail of it, it is set up as a sales tax item. Its tax name here is what must match what we said in Recur360 exactly. So it has to be in all capital letters with the hyphen in between, just like this. I've also matched that to the description. My tax rate here needs to be set at a 0% because Avatax is going to calculate that for you and populate it for you. And my tax agency is set at my Florida Department of Revenue, the same for my state. The second item that we've created is our service item. So if I look at the detail of that, I see that that is a type service. Its item name or number matches exactly what we require for Recur360, the Recur360-Avatax-Sales Tax. I've also set that as the description on the line item. Now that will be replaced automatically when Recur360 calculates its sales tax. Our rate needs to be a 0, and this item needs to be a non-taxable item because we're not going to charge sales tax on a tax item. The general ledger account that this is going to report to is my sales tax payable GL account. And I've made a separate one as an other current liability for Recur360 Avatax sales tax payable. So any sales that are recorded to that are going to go to that. You'll be able to see a quick report on how much has been recorded to that Avatax item. Now, returning back to Recur360, If I go look at a customer now, I'm going to be able to see what tax rate is linked to that customer. So under my Fiddler Consulting Company here, if I go to my options menu and edit that customer, down in the taxability section here, I need to make sure that my tax code is set to tax if I'm going to charge this customer sales tax, and that my tax item is my Recur360-Avatax item, sales tax item that I created. So that needs to be set to that. And if this customer is a tax-exempt customer, which we'll get into more detail in a separate session, you would set that to non-tax. Then you'd pick your tax-exempt reason from Avalara and go ahead and save that. While we're editing this customer, other things that relate to Avalara and Avatax are validating the address. So at the top section in my billing and shipping address areas for this particular customer, I can see that my billing address has not been validated with Avatax. My shipping address has been validated with Avatax. So if it has not been validated, I have a Validate Address button here, and I can click that. That will go out to Avatax and check that address and has now been validated. Okay, so very important that you are making sure your sales tax items are linked properly to a customer and that your addresses have been validated. From there, if I create a new invoice for this Fiddler Consulting Company, when I go to Options and I create new invoice, because I have this calculating real time, as I add line items to this, if I add a service item to this invoice, as an example, for $125, my services are set to be taxable. So this will make a call to Avatax and show me that for this particular customer where they are located and this amount that I'm billing them for, I'm going to charge $7.50 in state sales tax and $1.88 in county tax. So your description will always show you the breakout between state and county taxes that will be charged to the customer, and then that totals into the price on that line item on the invoice. If I add another line item to this invoice, let's say I'm also going to sell them a mouse. The mouse is $10. It's also taxable. Saving that recalculates the sales tax, and now I'm charging $8.10 in state tax, $2.03 in county taxes. When I then save this invoice, I'm not going to process the payment on this, so we'll just go ahead and save this as an open invoice in Recur360. That is going to create the invoice, save it, and queue it to be synced up over to QuickBooks. So let me fill in one of my required fields for my integration with QuickBooks because I have a custom field that's required. So saving this now queues this up in my sync status to post over to QuickBooks. So I now have that it's going to sync that invoice the next time the web connector communicates with QuickBooks. So if I go to my web connector program and I update my Recur360 integration, that's going to process my transactions over to my QuickBooks file. So now while that's happening behind the scenes, if I go back into QuickBooks and I look at customers, I'm going to be able to look at my Fiddler Consulting customer and see that invoice come over. So a new invoice is creating right now. Which invoice number was that? Let's double check on our side here. It hasn't been assigned a QuickBooks invoice number. I'm letting QuickBooks assign invoice numbers right now. So we'll let that invoice come over. There it is, $145.13. So this invoice is for services performed, my mouse for $10, and it sends in, again, the detailed description in the line item to my Avalara Avatax sales tax service item. So my total looks exactly like it did in QuickBooks, and then any reports that I run for that particular item. So if I were to go to my window, back to my items list, and I look at this item, and I do a quick report QuickBooks is going to show me every invoice that this item was used on and the amount that was collected and which account it's going into. So that is my Florida sales tax, my Avatax item, and how much is being charged. Okay, so you'll always have a quick report there, a total for a month or whatever period you run it on what sales tax has been collected by the integration with Avatax. Those are the basics of how Recur360 communicates with Avatax and QuickBooks Desktop. As I said, we'll have a separate session which will go in deeper detail on some of the other integration options, which are the ability to do custom tax code mapping and custom exemption reasons. If you need any help with Avalara Avatax integration and Recur360, we have an integration guide here, or you can always go to our support chat and start a chat with us where we can help. Thanks for watching.